Have you ever just wished you could hit rewind on your own memory to find your lost keys? It sounds like total science fiction, right? Well, what if it wasn't? Today, we're going to unlock the mind's attic and explore a pretty fascinating question. Can hypnosis actually help you find things you've lost? It turns out your brain might just have a perfect map of your past, and sometimes you just need a little help reading it.
Okay, but before we even get to lost wallets and car keys, we have to tackle the elephant in the room. The big, dramatic question everyone always asks about hypnosis, probably thanks to Hollywood, is this: can it really uncover repressed, forgotten memories?
From any modern, ethical standpoint, the answer to that is a hard no. A really firm no. And that's not just to be mysterious. It's about a critical safety rule that we absolutely need to understand first.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, the big one, the danger of false memories, and a really important story about that. Then we'll flip it and see how this can be used for good. And then we'll finally get to finding that lost object, how it works, and what the limits are.
All right, let's dive right in. This is probably the single most important rule in all of therapeutic hypnosis. Seriously, understanding this one thing is what separates a safe, effective practice from something that could be, potentially really harmful. So here's the deal. Your memory isn't like a perfect video camera recording everything. It's more like a perception, an interpretation of what happened. And when you're in that super focused hypnotic state, your mind can get a little fuzzy on what's a real memory and what's just your imagination. A practitioner who isn't careful could accidentally lead you to create a false memory, something that feels 100% real to you but just didn't happen. And the scary part? Once that's in your head as a fact, it is incredibly hard, maybe even impossible to undo.
And to really show you why this is so critical, I want to share a real story. It's from a practitioner who learned this lesson the hard way, right at the start of their career. And wow, does it show you the risks. So check this out. A husband basically pushes his wife to go to a hypnotherapist to, get this, investigate something that happened 20 years ago, before they even met. During the session, her memory is confirmed. It was all consensual, no big deal. But then 2 weeks later, she calls back, totally full of doubt. But the real kicker comes 4 years later. The husband finally admits he had an affair right around that same time, and his own guilt was what fueled this whole suspicion for 2 decades. See, the hypnosis didn't fix a thing, it just stirred the pot on a much, much deeper issue.
And that was the huge takeaway for the hypnotherapist. That aha moment where they realized, I've done something wrong here. You don't do that. You don't use this incredibly powerful tool to dig around in the past like a detective. It's a huge ethical line you just do not cross, because the fallout is just too messy and too real.
Okay, so after all that heavy stuff, I want to be super clear. It's not that going back in time in your mind is always bad. Not at all. When you use it the right way for positive things, it's actually an amazing, powerful tool. Just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got that dangerous, forbidden forensic stuff that can create facts out of thin air. But on the other side, you have positive regression. And this is all about recalling amazing, empowering feelings, locking in skills you have, and even giving your body a mental map to heal faster. It's a complete night and day difference.
And this isn't just some abstract idea, right? Imagine an athlete right before a huge game, reliving that feeling of their best ever win. That's a massive confidence boost. Or think about someone recovering from surgery, and they really remember what it felt like to walk without pain. That helps their brain fire up those old pathways again. That's where this stuff is pure gold. All right, now that we've got those really important warnings out of the way, we can finally talk about what we came here for: finding something you've lost. Because this is a totally safe and super practical way to use these exact same ideas. So why is this so different? Why is this safe? Well, it's simple. A lost ring or your passport, it's a physical thing. It's either in the drawer or it's not. It's a fact you can check. We're not trying to piece together a complicated emotional memory from 20 years ago. We're just retracing your physical footsteps. That's it.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. How does this actually work? Let's say you lost your car keys and you're desperate. What would a session actually look like? Let's walk through it.
It's actually a pretty straightforward process. First things first, you get into a nice, calm, focused state. Then, we go back in your mind to the very last time you were 100% sure you had the thing. Now, here's the key part. You really anchor yourself in that moment. What did the room look like? Can you feel the keys in your hand? What do you hear? And once you're there, the therapist just gently asks, okay, and then what happens? And you just let your mind play that little movie forward, step by step. Okay,
Let's see this in action. I've got a great story about a lost passport that is the perfect example of how powerful and sometimes how tricky your mind can be.
So, the client is in that calm, focused state and boom, her mind brings up this super clear picture. She sees herself coming home from a trip and putting her handbag down inside the kitchen pantry. Okay, pretty specific, right? The location feels solid. So she runs to the pantry, pulls everything out, goes through every single pocket in that handbag, and nothing. The passport just isn't there. So now you're thinking, well, that didn't work. It totally feels like the hypnosis failed and her mind just made something up.
But, wait for it, a few days go by, she's super frustrated, and she decides to check the bag one last time. And she finds this tiny, hidden pocket on the front flap, a pocket she swears she never ever uses, and what's tucked deep inside? Yep, the passport. Her mind was literally 100% correct. It led her to the handbag in the pantry. It just didn't, zoom in on the secret little pocket inside the handbag.
And that's such a great story because it brings us to our final and really important point. As amazing as this process can be, you have to know this. There are absolutely no guarantees.
And the reason why is pretty simple, actually. Your mind has a perfect recording of what you did. It knows you put your ring on the nightstand, but it has no idea if 5 minutes later your partner moved it to clean or the cat knocked it on the floor or it got vacuumed up. Your mind can only retrace your steps. It can't tell you what happened after you left the room.
So when it comes down to it, think of it like this. Your mind holds a perfect map of everything you've ever done. Hypnosis can help you read that map and lead you right to the X that marks the spot where you left the treasure. But the map can't tell you what happened to the treasure after you walked away. What if someone else moved it?